With so many people getting interested in whiskey, and so many bars and restaurants starting to cater to whiskey enthusiasts, there's a ton of people who need a tutorial on how to properly order whiskey when in public. So if you want to hear about it, then stick around.
Hello and welcome to Bourbon Real Talk. Of course, we want to welcome our Patreons with a special thank you. We thank you all for the patronship, I guess it is. And you guys are awesome. And we hope that you are receiving the benefits and not just the donation part, right? Because yes, it is a donation toward keeping the show alive and well, but you get to experience all kinds of special offers, bonus content, distillery takeovers, which is where we go into a distillery and just kind of take it over for the day, picking barrels and tasting stuff here and there, and it's just a great experience. In-person meetups, and of course, some virtual online bottle shares and all kinds of discounts on merch. So thanks again to all our Patreons, and if you are not one, I'm not sure what you're doing. If you enjoy the show, support the show, and get much more in return. So if you aren't a member there, check out the description and head on over today.
All right. Disclaimer, this is a pretty basic topic. Yeah. So if you're an advanced whiskey drinker, we hope that we at least entertain you. We're going to be some goofballs while we do this.
And furthermore, there's really no wrong way to drink whiskey. So if any of the things we're going to depict for you today are not the way you order and drink your whiskey, that's totally cool.
That's cool. Also, I'd like to let any whiskey enthusiasts out there know that if you drink your whiskey straight or at high proofs, that's okay. Okay, but we don't have to get in there and tell other people they're not cool because they're not drinking whiskey the right way. Okay?
That's correct.
It's fine if they want to mix it or whatever. So whenever I make that disclaimer, it always reminds me, right? Because I say just because you drink your whiskey at high proof, that doesn't mean that you're cool.
Right.
But there is one scenario where I will allow you to make the comment that you're cooler than others, and it's when you're out drinking with your beer friends, because this used to happen to me. Yeah. And they'd just be pounding beer after beer, and I'd be sitting there sipping, enjoying my whiskey, and one of them inevitably would look at me and be like, "Oh, do you want me to put a nipple on that for you so you can nurse it a little slower?" And that's when you're allowed to look at them and go, listen, when you stop drinking that watered down piss you call beer and move your way up to a real brown spirit like a real man drinks, then you can talk with me about the speed that I drink my drink in. Yeah. Right.
I mean, the reality is there's more proof in this little tiny Glen here than there is in a 24 pack of beer. So,
right.
Drink away, get bloated, and feel like absolute dog shit the next morning. Yeah. Not for me.
Don't make fun of your friends for how they drink. All right. So the first way that you can order whiskey in public, Wes, would be a cocktail.
Sure. Yeah.
And so not a big secret there. When I go in, I just look at the cocktail menu and I read the ingredients and I see what sounds good and I just order. Yeah. Right. But I will warn you, there was a cocktail that I ended up really liking it, and I did order it multiple times, but it was called a Raging Bull.
Oh, that sounds manly.
Yeah, it sounded real manly until it came out in one of those like fluted, like shallow champagne glasses, and it was bright pink.
Perfect.
And there was no indication whatsoever that it was a whiskey drink at all.
Right.
And so if you're unfamiliar and you're worried about the presentation, you may want to ask.
Yes, which makes more sense. I live on a ranch and we have raging bulls, and when they get raging, there's a little pink, actually a large pink thing that comes out and makes an appearance. So that actually makes a little more sense.
Makes a little bit of sense. Yeah. Okay. The other thing that I try to make sure that people understand is that if you find a cocktail that you like and you're in a bar that serves whiskey and they do serve cocktails, if they don't have your favorite cocktail on the menu, if it's a common one, they can probably make it.
Right, yeah. And that's another way you can kind of look cool out there or feel a little more confident in ordering your cocktail is find a few cocktails that you like and you enjoy and you've tried at home and you really like them, like say an old fashioned, for example, and you want to elevate that request to look kind of cool in front of your buddies, you might order it with a specific rye that you really like. Like if I'm out ordering an old fashioned, I'll say, if you have got a single barrel Knob Creek rye, I would love that in an old fashioned or something like that.
Right. If you are, though, going to pick which whiskey is going to go into your cocktail, I would recommend that you pick a whiskey that's on par with the rest of the ingredients.
Right.
Basically, don't go out and order Pappy 23 and ask them to mix it with diet, soda.
Right. Yep.
But if they're gonna make a fresh old fashioned, they make their own, simple syrups and all that stuff. You want to order something that's a little bit higher end for your cocktail. Sure. That's totally fine.
Absolutely.
In the steep hills of the rockiest of mountains, under beaming sun or windy winters, a prideful goat stands tall. The whiskey offers smooth yet bold flavors to be enjoyed anywhere with anyone. So take a leap and discover the complex and beautiful sceneries of the Prideful Goat with us. I'm Randy Sullivan, host of Bourbon Real Talk. My business partner, Christopher Hart, the host of Whiskey Neat, and I partnered with Giant Texas Distillers to create the whiskey brand, the Prideful Goat. That intro was one of the drafts for the Prideful Goat's back label. And the truth is, the name just sounded cool. There is no significance to the name, which makes the back label story a little bit difficult. We felt some of that was a little too fanciful for our target audience. Our goal was to create a whiskey by whiskey lovers for whiskey lovers. Cash strength, non-chill filtered, straightforward, no fluff. We're currently sold in California, New Mexico, Arizona, Texas, Oklahoma, Kentucky, Louisiana, and Florida. And we're proud to announce that we're coming soon to Georgia, New Hampshire, Vermont, Maine, and Canada. If you want a quality whiskey that was curated for enthusiasts, head over to pridefulgoat.com and use the store locator. If your local store doesn't have it, just use the contact feature and we'll tell you how they can get it. We also have some pretty awesome Prideful Goat merchandise, including etch glens and t-shirts. If we're not sold in your state, don't worry about it. Sealbox and Bourbon Outfitter both carry our products for lower than average retail price. With no sales tax and discounts for multiple bottle shipping, in many cases you can get the Prideful Goat delivered to your door for less money than you would have spent at your local store. We hope you enjoy our little project. Cheers! So the second way that you might order your cocktail would be
on the rocks.
On the rocks.
Right. And rocks being plural, meaning many smaller ice cubes in a glass.
Right. And so when you're ordering your whiskey on the rocks, it's going to do two things for you. It's going to change the temperature of the whiskey, which if you don't already know this, when you cool down a spirit, it actually takes the sharp edges off of the whiskey because the ethanol doesn't evaporate as much into your sinuses when it's cooler. And that's what makes whiskey taste hot, is that ethanol, right?
Yeah.
And so one, it's going to take the edge off. But the other thing is that the ice is going to melt, and it is going to add water, and that is going to slowly proof down your whiskey.
Exactly.
And so the third way that you might order it would be on a large format cube.
Right.
And so in front of us we have the traditional rocks and then the large format cube. And the large format cube is going to do everything the rocks do, but it's going to slow the dilution rate.
Right.
And so let's say that you're going to be somewhere for an extended period of time, you might have a few drinks. You might be looking for a large format cube just so you can stretch that drink out a little bit longer.
Exactly. Yeah. And not all rocks are created equal.
Nope.
So do not just order, your whiskey on the ice or your whiskey on the rocks and leave it at that, because you may get one or the other. If you want the large format cube, you want to order it that way.
Yeah, and also, pro tip, if you're at a nice enough place, they probably don't make their own large format cubes. They buy them. And there's two kinds.
Yeah.
There's the kind that have all of the,
oxygen
trapped in there.
Right. Little bubbles everywhere.
Little bubbles. There's there's white sections, there's streaks, and then there's the kind that's like totally clear.
Absolutely clear.
And that has to be done through directional freezing. Mm-hmm. So if you don't know this, your ice gets bubbles in it and cracks in the interior of it because water expands as it freezes. It's the only substance on Earth that does that. And so if you freeze the outside first and then the center later, it's going to crack all of the ice, and that's what causes the inclusions in there, almost like a diamond, right? But if you freeze from one side to the other, that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And so there's special ice making machines that do that. So you may want to order with a clear cube.
Yeah, if they have those, you're at a special place.
And you're going to look like a boss.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so think about the clear ice. What whiskey will blow your mind that isn't even bourbon and you've probably never heard of? JT Meleck. It comes from a crawfish and rice farm in Louisiana. It's one of the few ground-to-glass distilleries in the US, and it's amazing. How did a crawfish and rice farmer become the producer of one of the best whiskeys I've ever tasted?
We're gonna lose money on the rice, so we turned it into whiskey.
Mike's family are 6th-generation rice farmers in Louisiana, and the thought of not growing rice was unbearable. So when rice prices dropped, they decided to grow rice anyway and turn it into whiskey. I know what you're thinking. Randy, it's rice whiskey. How could it be good? This isn't some half sake. I sent out blind sample packs with 5 other highly regarded allocated bourbons, and when people didn't know what they were drinking, they liked the JT Meleck more. This whiskey surprised me. Someone brought a bottle over to my house, and it blew my mind.
Where'd you get the whiskey?
Yeah, where'd you get the whiskey?
I brought it to Randy's house.
No, you didn't.
Yeah!
I thought I was a bad cop.
No, I'm the bad cop.
You're both bad.
So if you want a mind-blowingly good whiskey at an affordable price, pick up a bottle of JT Meleck right now. And if there's a vodka lover in your life, don't overlook the vodka. Unlike most vodkas, theirs actually tastes good. To find a shipping retailer or a local retailer near you, click the link in the video description. Clicking the link lets them know that we sent you, so they know to keep advertising with us. Cheers.
And next up, one of the ways that I typically will order it, unless I'm having a cocktail, is neat.
Neat.
Which is how we're drinking ours today. It is just straight up whiskey, room temp, in your glass, ready to take on. And that's my favorite. If I'm just having a couple. Now, if I'm gonna be drinking for a while, then that's where I'm gonna incorporate some ice, just again, like Randy said, slow that process down a little bit. But you really get every single flavor profile that the craftsman had intended with that whiskey, and it's the most pure of obviously experiences. So
sure, and also there's different styles of glasses that you can drink neat, and so what Wes has here is a traditional Glencairn. This is a wee Glencairn, but in front of us we also have rocks glasses, and so I would say that if you're gonna order a pour neat in public, you should at least ask if they have a whiskey tasting glass, if they have any Glencairns.
Yeah.
Because a lot of places they don't.
Right.
Glencairns are delicate, and they break, and it makes it expensive for the place.
Mm-hmm.
But if they're serving you a really high-end pour in one of these rocks glasses, the nosing experience is not going to be as good.
For sure. Yeah. Most of your chain bars or your restaurants are not going to have a specific whiskey tasting glass like a Glen or anything like that. They're going to mostly give it to you in a rocks glass. If someone gives it to you in a shot glass, just go ahead and slide it back to them and say, never mind.
Never mind. Yeah. And then also keep in mind what glassware you ask for your neat pour, because some people will take a neat pour and they know they're going to dilute it. They want control.
Yep.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And so they're going to have their bottled water, they're going to have a side of soda, and they're going to have, whiskey and soda or whatever it is. If you are going to delete, I would suggest that you go ahead and ask for a rocks glass.
Right.
Especially if you think, you can dilute in a Glen, but if you think you're going to end up adding ice, then don't get it in a Glen, because Glens are not designed to have ice in them. They're too delicate.
They could crack. Yeah.
They could crack. And if you want to order whiskey like a boss, I can tell you that whiskey enthusiasts will judge you if they see that you have ice in your Glencairn.
Absolutely.
So keep that in mind.
Speaking of diluting your whiskey, if that's something that you intend to do, especially if you're trying to determine what proof point you really enjoy and what suits your palate best, do that experiment at home too. Mm-hmm. I mean, get yourself 120 proof and then add a drop or two of water. Take a sip, let it sit for a little bit until you get your palate warmed up and you decide, hey, I'm more of a 100 proofer. Then you know that when you go out to a bar, you can order a bottled and bond neat and look like a boss and put nothing in it and look just hardcore. You know what I mean? So that's a good way to experiment on your own. But there's also no shame in doing that in public.
Yeah, and also it makes it a little bit of a fun experiment. Mm-hmm. You can play around with it. Just go slow. You don't want to over dilute too fast and take it too far. Right. So go slow. But hopefully that was helpful for you guys out there. I hope that we had a bunch of new whiskey enthusiasts that were like, I want to learn how to order my whiskey. I don't want to feel foolish when I'm in public ordering a drink. But if this is your first time tuning in, we'd like to tell you a little bit about the show philosophy. We're all about bringing people together around bourbon. And that's something that's important to me because I lost my brother to suicide in 2014. And in the aftermath of that, I realized that he had lost his sense of community. And I wanted to find ways to create community so that no one had to feel the way my brother did when he decided to take his life. And I saw how whiskey brought people together And I figure if I can get you connected to whiskey, whiskey can do the rest of the job and get you connected to others. And so I started looking for forums and opportunities to create community out there, and I saw the negative side of the enthusiast community, the whiskey trolls. And those trolls are out there, they're being hateful to strangers online. And that's part of the reason why Wes finally convinced me to start Bourbon Real Talk Community, which is a forum where we do truly have community. We're sharing life together, and we don't have any troll behavior in there.
No, we have a whole fleet of whiskey troll police.
Yeah, basically.
That just kind of constantly are searching for
moderated out.
behavior.
Yeah, and we get rid of all that stuff, and we get rid of the trolls. And that's so that we can create that community. But I also realized, interacting with the trolls and seeing the trolls online, that if they can hate you, even though they don't know you, then there's nothing that keeps me from loving you, even though I don't really know you. And that's why we end every episode the same way. And that's this. If you woke up this morning and you were unsure whether or not anyone loved you, just know that we love you. We'll see you next time on Bourbon Real Talk. A whiskey troll is a person who seeks negative attention and uses contrarian attitudes to derail civil discussion in online forums. They communicate in ways they never would face-to-face because they're keyboard warriors. Their only goal is to make other people feel inferior.
Hey guys, I'm new here. I just got my first Blanton's.
And trust me, you probably paid way too much.
I don't care much about the Blantons, but nice.
There's no way that she didn't buy that at secondary. Idiot.
Oh, I know how you got that bottle.
So, are you sick and tired of the whiskey trolls running your fun online? Well, that's why we started Bourbon Real Talk Community. Congratulations. Let me know what you think when you open it up.
Hey, welcome to the group. Let me send you over a sample of Blanton's Gold and Straight from the Barrel. See how you like those.
I remember back to my first bottle of Blanton's. It was the birthday to my son, and we enjoy it every year on his birthday. Congrats.
So if you're looking to connect with some people online who aren't, head over to facebook.com and join Bourbon Real Talk Community today.